I can't imagine choosing to come here. My mother must have been terrified. I'd heard stories. Oops.
Smell here. I frankly thought it wouldn't smell like anything.
But looks like we'll be dealing with the smell of rot while we're here. Lovely. If she really is here, I wonder how my mother managed to deal with it. How do you manage to deal with it then? Me? I smell like nightshade and snowberries. Oh, you know what? You should be talking. I have a heightened sense of smell, you know. If you think you smell like blossoms after frolicking in a fetid cave, you are sorely mistaken. But, hey, you're actually not too bad. For a walking meat bag. Porker face. Well, that is just not true anymore. We're being awfully carefree, aren't we? I mean, for being trapped in a realm of oblivion with no guaranteed return. It's nice, really. To just have fun. Have someone who can help me forget about all the prophecies, Elder Scrolls, betrayals, and this awful God's Curse reek. About all of this, even for a brief moment. I'm starting to like you, okay? You're growing on me. And what I said is true, though I definitely wouldn't want to end up here for all eternity. We got a job to do. Let's find my mother, and find a way out of here. As an Imperial, I must say, your Cyrodiilic brandy is truly something else. I would rather not say, if that's alright. Well, just because it's you, I'll make an exception. My mother had to leave the island for some urgent business one day, so I snuck into her laboratory. You know, to create some potions, test out some necromancy, fiddle around with things I really wasn't supposed to. But one thing did catch my eye. That brandy. I didn't really consider why she even had it there. I just decided to take a small sip. It truly tasted like something else. So I decided to finish the entire bottle in one swig. I absolutely loved it. I was already a vampire at this point, though, so don't worry. I didn't pass out, vomit, or anything like that. But when my mother did come home, though, she was angry. Most definitely. She said it costed a premium, and that it was meant to be a token gift to one of the newer members of my father's court. And as a punishment, I got janitorial duties around the castle for the better part of the month. And even as a vampire, to me, that felt like a long time. The smell here. Let's try to handle this quickly. You'd think a vampire would be right at home in this place. You'd be wrong. Let's just find my mother and get out of here, quickly. The air, the ground. This is all wrong. Look at the sky. What kind of place is this?
That's the last time I argue with a Dromora.
Look at the sky. What kind of place is this? I was just thinking about some alchemical principles. Comprehension, destruction, and reconstruction. You first need to understand the structure of what you're trying to transmute. Like what wheat is made out of, and how those properties fit into making a health potion. Then there's deconstruction. You break down the wheat into a more malleable state, along with the other ingredients. Finally, there's reconstruction. You use the energy and materials created from the deconstruction to make what you're trying to make, like the health potion. Look at this place. I can't imagine choosing to come here. My mother must have been terrified. Do you need something? Not that often, really. Being a daughter of Cold Harbor, I can go without blood longer than other vampires. That, and I can also rest to regain my energy. It doesn't fully satiate the appetite, but it staves off hunger for a while. So, don't worry. I won't go feral on you or anything just because I haven't had a daily meal. I also read stories. There was supposedly a vampire in Akavir which never fed in her entire life? Or whatever you call it. Supposedly, she even protected mortals from her own kind. Yeah, actually. Sorry. Ugh. Let's keep moving. I feel like we're being watched.
Must stay away from the Keepers. Must stay away from the Keepers.
I'd heard stories about the Soul Cairn, but never thought I'd see it myself. So far, it's about what I imagined. Let's make this quick.
Another one bites the dust. Well, figuratively speaking.
Look at the sky. What kind of place is this?
You must help me find my Arvak. He doesn't deserve to be in a place like this. Arvak, my horse. We came to this horrible place together. We were attacked by monsters, so I told him to run. Please, he's such a loyal creature, and he's been running for so long. You have to save him. A place like this will change you. Arvak? Arvak! Where are you? Arvak, please come back! Come back!
Alright then.
Well, you asked for it.
You're dead! Are you alright? Let me know if you need anything. The air, the ground. This is all
I feel terrible for the dead who end up here for eternity. Seems awful, like they're still suffering. I'd heard stories about the soul Cairn, but never thought I'd see it myself. So far, it's...
Damn Akaviri shaman. How could I know it would trap my soul?
Look at the sky. What kind of place is this?
Well, look what we have here. Someone with flesh on their bones. Let's just say I sold something to a guy who turned out to work for a whole coven of necromancers. How in the name of Zenithar was I to know the ingredients were phony? Do I look like someone that would double-cross a necromancer? You got it. Horse, wagon, and all. Plopped here without so much as a word. I used to be one of the best traders in High Rock, you know. How people would track me down just to see what I had for sale. Very funny. And what exactly are you going to pay me with? Take a look around. Gold doesn't exactly win you any friends around here. I'll tell you what. I appreciate what you're trying to do, so I'll play along. The only thing I see around here in abundance are soul husks. You know, those ugly fungus-looking things growing out of the ground. Bring me, say, 25 of them, and you can rummage through what was left on my cart. Odds and ends I've gathered over the years. Well, used to gather, before all of this nonsense happened to me. Tell me what you're looking for, and maybe we can make a deal, if you have the husks. No husks, no sale. Guess you have some scavenging to do.
The air, the ground. This is all wrong. The air, the ground. This is is all wrong. Look at this place. I can't imagine choosing to come here. My mother must have been terrified. Well, you asked for it.
I'm always up for a party.
You're dead.
This was too easy.
You nearly kept up with me there.
Arvak! You saved him! His soul is free, I can feel it! He's such a loyal beast. Here, I'll teach you how to call him to you. He'll help you get around this wretched place. But I'm sure he'd be much happier someplace sunnier. Goodbye, hero. Take good care of Arvak for me. Such a good horse.
I can't imagine choosing to come here. My mother must have been terrified.
Well, back before the College of Winterhold was the first place I'd think to go for any kind of magic or historical thing. The wizards know about all kinds of things that people probably shouldn't know about. Soul trapping, summoning Daedra, messing with the mortal realm, or even creating love potions. And no, I do not consent to any potion or mind-altering thing to be done to me. I prefer to be myself, thank you very much. Though, I would like to see if we could give a potion to Camilla, and have her love both Fendel and Sven. Actually, never mind. That was a terrible idea. Sometimes the Daedric tendencies in me just think of these really stupid things.
I'd heard stories about the Soul Cairn, but never thought I'd see it myself. So far, it's about what I imagined. Mother? Mother!
Maker, it can't be. Serana?
Is it really you? I can't believe it. How do we get inside? We have to talk.
Serana, what are you doing here? Where's your father?
He doesn't know we're here. I don't have time to explain.
I must have failed. Harkon's found a way to decipher the prophecy, hasn't he?
No, you've got it all wrong. We're here to stop him, to make everything right.
Wait a moment. You've brought a stranger here? Have you lost your mind?
No, you don't...
You, come forward. I would speak with you.
So how has it come to pass that a vampire hunter is in the company of my daughter? It pains me to think you'd travel with Serana under the guise of her protector in an effort to hunt me down. Coming from one who murders vampires as a trade, I find it hard to believe your intentions are noble. Serana has sacrificed everything to prevent Harkon from completing the prophecy. I would have expected her to explain that to you. You think I'd have the audacity to place my own daughter in that tomb for the protection of her Elder Scroll alone? The scrolls are merely a means to an end. The key to the tyranny of the sun is Serana herself. When I fled Castle Volkihar, I fled with 2 Elder Scrolls. The scroll I presume you found with Serana speaks of Auriel and his arcane weapon, Auriel's bow. The second scroll declares that the blood of Cold Harbor's daughter will blind the eye of the dragon. Like myself, Serana was a human once. We were devout followers of Lord Molig Bal. Tradition dictates the females be offered to Molig Bal on his summoning day. Few survive the ordeal. Those that do emerge as a pure-blooded vampire. We call such confluences the Daughters of Cold Harbor. It was expected of her, just as it was expected of me. Being selected as an offering to Molig Bal is an honor. She wouldn't have dared turn her back on that. Now you're beginning to see why I wanted to protect Serana, and why I've kept the other Elder Scroll as far from her as possible. If Harkon obtained Auriel's bow, and Serana's blood was used to taint the weapon, the tyranny of the sun would be complete. In his eyes, she'd be dying for the good of all vampires. And how exactly do you plan on stopping him? Have you been listening to me? Like Serana, I'm a pure-blooded vampire. My presence on Tamriel is as much of a danger as hers. You care nothing for Serana, or our plight. Whether or not you've become one of us in order to survive the Soul Cairn, you're still a vampire hunter at heart. You're here because we're abominations in your mind. Evil creatures that need to be destroyed. Serana? This stranger aligns herself with those that would hunt you down and slay you like an animal. Yet I should entrust you to her.
This stranger has done more for me in the brief time I've known her than you've done in centuries.
How dare you? I gave up everything I cared about to protect you from that fanatic you call a father.
Yes, he's a fanatic. He's changed. But he's still my father. Why can't you understand how that makes me feel?
Serana, if you'd only open your eyes. The moment your father discovers your role in the prophecy, that he needs your blood, you'll be in terrible danger.
So, to protect me, you decided to shut me away from everything I cared about? You never asked me if hiding me in that tomb was the best course of action. You just expected me to follow you blindly. Both of you were obsessed with your own paths. Your motivations might have been different. But in the end, I'm still just a pawn to you two. I want us to be a family again, but I don't know if we can ever have that. Maybe we don't deserve that kind of happiness. Maybe it isn't for us. But we have to stop him before he goes too far. And to do that, we need the Elder Scroll.
I'm sorry, Serana. I didn't know. I didn't see. I've allowed my hatred of your father to estrange us for too long. Forgive me. If you want the Elder Scroll, it's yours. Your intentions are still somewhat unclear to me. But for Serana's sake, I'll assist you in any way that I can. Yes, I've kept it safely secured here ever since I was imprisoned. Fortunately, you're in a position to breach the barrier that surrounds these ruins. You need to locate the tallest of the rocky spires that surround these ruins. At their bases, the barrier's energy is being drawn from unfortunate souls that have been exiled here. Destroy the keepers that are tending them, and it should bring the barrier down. One more word of warning. There's a dragon that calls itself Durnevere roaming the Cairn. Be wary of him. The Ideal Masters have charged him with overseeing the Keepers, and will undoubtedly intervene if you're perceived as a threat. As you've been traveling in the Soul Cairn, your body has become attuned to it. Let's just say a tiny part of you rubbed off on it, and in its place, a bit of the Soul Cairn filled the void. You should find no difficulty using the portal any longer. When I entered the Soul Cairn, I had intended to strike a bargain with the Ideal Masters, the custodians of this place. I requested refuge in the Soul Cairn, and in exchange, I would provide the Ideal Masters the souls that they craved. If I had foreseen the value they placed on my own soul, I would never have come here. The Ideal Masters unleashed their keepers and sent them to destroy me. Fortunately, I was able to hold them at bay and retreat into these ruins. Unfortunately, yes. Since the Keepers weren't able to claim my soul, they had their minions construct a barrier that I'd never be able to breach. Time has very little meaning to me. Consequently, it has little meaning to the Ideal Masters as well. I suppose you could call this the ultimate waiting game, each watching the other to see which will give in. Be careful, and keep my daughter safe.
Let's kill those keeper things and get back to the prison.
Harkon's vision is a world plunged in eternal darkness, where the vampire can flourish and never again fear the tyranny of the sun. What he fails to realize is how much attention would be called to our kind if the prophecy came to fruition. If eternal night fell, there are many who wouldn't stand for it. They would raise armies in attempts to return things to normal. The order of the day would be our destruction, until every last vampire was hunted down and eliminated. I do. It's how the vampire has survived for millennia, and the only way we can continue to survive in the future. Be careful, and keep my daughter safe.
Let's kill those keeper things and get back to the prison.
What do you want? Good riddance. How does anyone expect me to write my opus with all of these rude interruptions? What do I mean, indeed?
Can't you take it somewhere else?
If I hadn't lost all of the pages, I wouldn't be in this predicament, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. Very well. I suppose a moment or two of my time couldn't hurt. I am Jiub. Some call me Saint Jiub. Others call me Jiub the Eradicator. Perhaps you've heard of me. I can't say that I'm surprised by your answer. Until I get my second volume published, no one will ever know of my achievements. A book? I'd hardly call a 26-volume epic simply a book. Surely you've heard of the rise and fall of Saint Jiub the Eradicator, hero of Morrowind and savior of the Dawnguard. Terrible. Simply terrible. I was in the midst of writing the second volume, and they just threw me into this prison. It's unfair. So what? What in the name of the Vic are you talking about? All I remember is that damned Remora and his minions bursting into my home and sending me to their prison. Well, I assume so. It cast a spell at me from some kind of strange black crystal. Next thing I knew, I arrived here. My what? Wait. That means... No. All these wasted months? Or has it been years? I don't even remember how much time has passed. No, my work will never see the light of day. My name will be forgotten. Perhaps... Do you have a way out of here? Maybe I can't leave, but my writings can. In order to write the second volume of my opus, I need the notes from my first volume. Otherwise, I need to do all of this from memory. When I was tossed in here, I felt myself falling, and I dropped the pages I had been holding. There were 10 of them in all. Find them for me, please. I beg you. Ah, yes. Saint Jiub, Jiub the Eradicator, Jiub the Magnificent. I've earned a lot of those titles thanks to my campaign against the Winged Menace. Yes, I'm speaking of the Cliff Racer, of course. Wretched things. They used to crisscross the skies over Morrowind like vermin. Nasty flying creatures with a habit of sneaking upon the unwary. After I was freed from prison, I decided to turn my life around. Give something back to the people of Morrowind. It became quickly apparent that the best way I could help would be by wiping out the cliff racers. Indeed I was. I hunted down and killed every last one. It took years. The people of Morrowind were so grateful to have the roads safer again, they took to calling me St. Jiub, and then the other names followed. That was a dark time in my life. I did a lot of things I ended up regretting. Maybe that's why I worked so hard to redeem myself once I was freed. I murdered others for money. And before you think I belong to some romantic or secretive guild, think again. I was simply an addict who needed money for skooma. The stuff wasn't cheap, and murder always seemed to be in demand. I finally bit off more than I could chew. I was paid to assassinate some high-ranking official from House Redorin. What I didn't know is someone had hired the Morag Tong to kill him as well. Exactly. He got to my target first, and called the guard to cover his tracks. By the time I got there, the place was on alert. Walked right into a trap, and didn't even realize it until I was captured. They tried me for murder, threw me on a prison ship, and sent me to the jail in Vivek City. Gave me a lot of time to think, that's for sure. Thanks again for searching. I don't know what I'd do without my page.
Relieved, I think. All those things had been building up for a while. You have no idea how long I wanted to say that to her. Look, I loved my father, but when he found that prophecy, that became his life. Everything else, even me and my mother, we just became clutter. I was close with my mother, but she just kept feeding me her opinions of him, and eventually, I started believing them. The moment we gave ourselves to Molag Bal, things got really icy between them. They were both drunk with power and pulling in different directions. Then he found that prophecy, and that was it. Honestly, it took me up until now to figure out that my mother was really just as bad as he was. He was obsessed with power. She was obsessed with seeing him fail. It was just so toxic. Maybe I could have seen this coming. We could all be better off now. Definitely. You must think my life has been so strange. It sounds like your family wasn't nearly as fractured as mine. Anyway, we should keep moving. I can't believe we found my mother alive. Well, you know what I mean. I'm glad you're here. I don't think I could be doing this alone. I read this book once. Oh, that was ages ago, really. And it was already falling apart. It had a very sweet love story between a woman and a vampire. Of course, when I was very young, I had a soft spot for romance. It was so silly, too. The vampire glowed in the sun. Whoever came up with that hogwash?
Been in worse scrapes.
Nice work. Let's kill those keeper things and get back to the prison. Weapons up. I see.
You're in for it. You're dead!
I can't believe we found my mother alive. Well, you know.
Who's there?
Now that's good team play.
Time for another brawl.
All right, let's do this. I'm not someone to be trifled with. Who's there?
Hold on. Did you hear something?
Did you hear that?
As it is then.
Not
Good night.
bad. You nearly kept up with me.
I can't remember how long I've been here. Has it been a day? Or a century?